Hello, people. It's your boy Usmaan back again with another Rival Fan podcast. Listen, it's been a weird weekend of results, but one thing isn't weird. Arsenal losing again. It's the only consistent team in the league at the moment, consistently being shit. So fair play to Arsenal Football Club. We can always rely on them for a bit of a positive result. But listen, make sure you stay tuned. We're going to be talking the weekend results that made the talking points. The relegation battle, the title race, who's in the title race. I'm going to get everyone to put their neck on the line tonight because, we got to get some clips for later and pigs are flying and all that good stuff. But as always, make sure you drop a like, subscribe to the channel. Lawless and Sanj will be joining us shortly. But without further ado, I'm joined by the two homies. First and foremost, eyes on the ball. Daniel, what are you saying, G?
I'm good, man. I'm good. The weekend was made. The weekend pain was made a little bit easier because everyone dropped points, and also football is happening so soon. It's happening tomorrow, so getting back into the groove. But yeah, I'm doing good.
Yeah, it's not really. Well, it's never a good time to lose in it. But in terms of what you just said, you're not really thinking about you onto the next game, and it's a perfect scenario. And also currently top of the table, still top of the table. The top. Listen, unlike their counterparts, not at the bottom 6-pointer, top points, top of the table 6-pointer. Let's say, Kish, what you saying, G?
What I do. Yeah, it's good to be back, and I still can't believe how we're still top of the league. To be honest, it's been a bit of a crazy ride, but we'll take it as a Spurs fan. If someone had told me that mid-December Spurs would be top of the league, I'd be like, what? So I'll take that every day of the week.
Yeah, and speaking of top of the table 6-pointer, right on cue, your opponent for the game on Wednesday. Thank you very much for joining us, my good friend. Sanj, what are you saying?
Good evening. That's all I'm saying. Good evening. How are you doing, Kish? I can't make any boasts or promises after yesterday's whatever you want to call that. Non-performance, non-turning out.
We'll get into it, don't worry. I'm looking forward to hearing what a Liverpool fan has got to say. To be fair, Sanj, I respect your opinion. You're very level-headed. But still, I'm going to come for your team because, we don't get many opportunities to be have doing it. And last but not least, Sebastian Haller FC. The man that and also, I clipped you up for the homie. If you've not seen the goal celebration when a corner scores from this man here, it's a thing of beauty. We're joined by Lawless. What are you saying, bro?
Yeah, good, mate. All good. Yeah, that moment, that felt good, because I thought it was going to be another robbery like it was against you guys. I thought we was going to be knocking on the door. Yeah, well, thankfully this. Yeah, we won't get into that again. But this time against your mates Leeds, we came out with the 3 points. So I'm happy. And the only I'm the only person here whose team won this weekend. Is that correct? Am I right? In that? Yeah. Someone's got to be here. Yeah. So we need a winner. We need a winner on this podcast. So that's why I'm here.
It's the rarity in it, so you got to enjoy these games. But listen, Ahmed, as always, can't make it. You know the drill.
Knew it.
If his team loses, he can't. So I'm not going to see him until next season, basically, when Arteta's gone. But listen, it is what it is. We'll get into the games. To be honest, it's very difficult to start with this game because it was shit, but we have to because it was the big game. Manchester Derby, 0-0. To be honest, I've had my say on the game, so it's interesting to see what you lot have to say regarding the matter. So, Daniel, we'll start with you. Both Manchester clubs started going into this with, well, us in particular, dog shit form. But Man City, people start to say, okay, we're fine. We're starting to see Man City, turn up, so to speak, in the recent games. But we started disappointed, not only with us, but in the manner in which they approached the game.
Look, if I'm honest with you, Usmaan, I wasn't disappointed with United. I think the game said more about Man City. The game said more about Man City than it did Manchester United. Manchester United were always going to come into that game trying to play a low block, trying to defend, soak it up, and then possibly counter-attack and take any opportunities that came their way that game. I think it's interesting to see how Pep is almost, the wider picture is Pep has almost become a bit more nervous, as in he's a bit more cautious. I mean, he went into that game thinking, I cannot lose this game and be any further behind the guys that are ahead. He still wants to be in and around the mix. But it's just interesting because we know Pep tinkers quite a bit, but I was really surprised Rodri Fernandinho played 90 minutes in that game. Very surprised.
How is Foden not on the pitch? I'm absolutely
baffled. Foden, Bernardo Silva was like, people were calling this guy world class 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, but he's not a good form. But Foden, to be fair to him, is actually
Foden. But these guys are still quality players that should still come onto the pitch in a game where it was 0-0. Man City had much more of the ball, and it was just really surprising. I mean, the game. Let's not even lie. The game was probably worse than United Chelsea. It was so boring, as in surprisingly boring. And I'm just surprised with Pep. Like, Pep is really, these last 2 seasons, well, I'm seeing more of it this season, but these last 2 seasons, like, he's really kind of it's like he's nervous. I don't know. Maybe the expectations.
Yeah. 3 times last season. I don't know if that.
I mean, and look, came into it. I really don't want this to start being an agenda, but it might have to be. The less said about De Bruyne, the better, man.
It's gone beyond an agenda. Let's not say it started
Lawless. And Kish is right there with me. Let's be honest now.
None of these.
All I've said is, and I've been so consistent with my point about De Bruyne. I just want him to be the guy that takes a game where they're drawing or losing by the scruff of the neck and pull them through.
Do you know what the mad thing is? I was watching our prediction for the season, and you said he would be the player of the season.
And he's not exactly, and that's why everyone knows me. I've consistently said De Bruyne is the best in the league, but right now, I might have to have the conversation as to why Harry Kane is not number 1 instead of De Bruyne.
I personally have a counter argument to that, though. To be honest,
yeah, go on. That's
First stick on De Bruyne. Yeah, he's not turning up on big games, but I watched that whole game, which again was horrible to watch. I'll be honest. Like,
I was coming from Lee Jones.
It was honestly like. But the one thing I would say, right, is you can't just stick the blame on De Bruyne, because there was a lot of players.
Should have scored. Let's be realistic.
Mahrez should have scored. I told you this about. You asked me a couple of weeks ago who's been your biggest disappointment so far, and for me, I'm gonna stick with Sterling. The amount of times he had an opportunity 1-on-1 against the last defender of United, whether it's Shaw or whoever.
AWB's in his head though.
And this was my criticism of Ziyech against Tottenham, where he was playing the simple ball rather than taking the man on and actually going for a shot, cutting in and trying to score. Sterling again was a bit like the whole Man City team, where every single player was playing it safe. There was no. When was the last time that you could say about City that they're not adventurous in attack? When was the last time that you could actually say that?
Scared of Man United, bro.
And they've become so reliant on De Bruyne that if he doesn't turn up, then the rest of the players don't know what they're doing. And that tells me a bit more about Sterling than I think. You know, it makes me think that yes, he's improved massively under Pep, but was a lot of it the fact that he had David Silva and De Bruyne giving him the ball, the eye of a thread, and Sane on the other side also helping him. It does make me wonder and think that where is the player that he was a couple of seasons ago when he was scoring last minute, winners for City and getting them over the line to win titles? Where has that Sterling gone? Where's the Sterling from the beginning of last season, where people almost talked about Ballon d'Or contender in terms of the numbers that he was getting? Where is that Sterling? Do you know what I mean?
Let's just bring Sanjay, because obviously, you've not really had you've not been on the show for a while, so you've not really.
I'm quite enjoying this, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it as well. But
former Liverpool player, of course. So I'm sure you're.
That's why I'm bringing it in. I'm thinking about these things. Look, Sanj, he was brilliant at Liverpool. He went to the next level at Man City. But Sterling aside, as well as what they've said about De Bruyne, do you agree with some of what they said, or do you think it's a bit harsh?
I think on De Bruyne it's quite hard, because I think there's 2 seasons when they won back-to-back leagues. I think he I can't remember all the games, but there was a game, I think, away to Chelsea where he basically took control of that game and scored the winning goal. And I think he's got that in his locker. With Sterling, I completely understand what you're saying about Sterling. Something's happened. It seemed to have coincided with when he fronted up with Joe Gomez on the pitch and off the pitch. And his form has been horrendous ever since. And you know, because let's be honest about this, Raheem Sterling off the pitch has become a godlike figure because he was one of the first footballers to point out the inequalities in the way people from black backgrounds are portrayed in the media, and rightfully he earned a lot of credit for that. But over that whole episode, he came across as the sort of word I'm not going to use on this, even though it's not a family podcast, but I'm not going to use it. There's something in his head, and I think a lot of defenders now think, if I bully him a little bit, just a little bit, not completely over the top, just bully him a little bit, and like Wan-Bissaka, like you said, Wan-Bissaka's had him in his pocket for the best part of the last 3 or 4 games. Sterling's never scored against Manchester United, is that right? That was the stat that was trotting out the weekend.
Probably, I don't remember. I don't recall him.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah,
I don't think I don't remember De Bruyne scoring past the feet.
And certainly in those big games where there isn't much space and Sterling's not allowed the time or the space to run on goal and into acres of space, he's got to work out his own little openings. From the left, he's not that hard to mark. He's right-footed, so you always know he's going to cut back in. He's not tricky enough yet to go on the inside and then on the out. So I don't think he's that hard, I think. And it all goes into the whole thing about Pep being a little bit more defensive, certainly in the big games against the top 6, top 8. You saw what happened against Leicester, what was it, a couple of months ago, when basically Leicester saw everything that was coming and then picked them off. I mean, they won an awful lot of penalties that day for basically nothing. But it doesn't matter. That's the way the game went. And certainly in all the big games since when they played against Liverpool, I thought they were pretty defensive that day, especially at home against Manchester United at the weekend. Now, remember, Manchester United, by the way, are not in bad form. They had won the last 4 league games. I know they lost last Wednesday.
Well, Tuesday, we've won 4 and then drawn to Man City. Southampton, West Ham, obviously. But,
so you can understand being a little bit cautious the way these games have gone beforehand, but I just wonder with Pep whether he's been playing this kind of football now for the best part of 12 years, including Barcelona, time at Barcelona, time at Bayern, and now obviously time at City. Nothing has changed a great deal in the way they play football. And in the end, and this is just the way football goes, you get not found out, but people find ways to deal with you. I think it's happening to Liverpool a little bit at the moment, but it certainly is happening to City. They are not quite as fearful to play against as they used to be. And I think that feeds into all these narratives. Look, by the way, they might win the league this season. They might win the league because there's no runaway team. I know Spurs are top, but we're going to find out the strength of the top 2 on Wednesday. But no one is running away with it. So I think in Pep's mind, maybe he just thinks a point isn't the worst thing that happens here. And as long as I'm within 3 points with the
game in hand,
within 6 points with the game in hand, I'm all right. So I think it's a point he'll take. And he's changed that way. But he has changed. The bloke is going to be 50 next month, as am I. And I know I'm more defensive now at 50. So I know he will certainly be thinking,
I agree with you, Sanjan. I think as fans, we're a bit two-faced. And I'll say why. Because in the past, when Pep's played attacking football, and when it's come to the bigger games in the Champions League or the top-end teams of the Prem, a lot of fans have said, oh, maybe if he was a bit more defensive there, they would have won that game. And, last 10, 15 minutes, if he shut the shop, they would have won that game. And now that he's doing that, now he's being a bit more defensive. Fans are now saying, oh, well, where's the attack? Where's that beautiful play? So in a way, it's like I feel like he is trying to adapt his tactics to be a bit more defensive, but he just can't seem to get that balance. It's one or the other. And I don't know if from City fans' point of view, what they would like to see, because I genuinely don't think you can have a balance of both, in my opinion. I can't think of, tell me if I'm wrong, but I can't think of many teams that have got the perfect balance of defense and attack where they keep clean sheets regularly and attack. Maybe Liverpool last season.
And one second, Daniel, don't Chelsea.
Let's bring
Lawless in. Let's bring Lawless.
Huh? No.
I was just going to say, because Daniel's a Chelsea fan, aren't you? right?
Yeah,
And the Chelsea fan, the Chelsea team, the first great team that Jose had.
100%.
Oh, you're about
we had so much attacking flair and clean sheets.
I said not many. I said not many.
Yeah. It's not about now, not back in the day. Then you can say Man United team as well. But listen, let's move on. Let's go to Norris. Obviously, you've heard what the guys have said. I know everyone's. I just want to chuck this out to you regarding De Bruyne, right? And this is coming from me, obviously, a Man United fan, so I've got no reason to defend him. But in his defense, right, he reminds me of Manchester United before we signed Bruno Fernandes. And what I mean about that is, right, Pogba was basically De Bruyne for us in terms of everything was going through him. He had to create all the chances, and a lot of onus was on him. He didn't have, somebody else to rely on as David Silva allowed him to have that sort of, escape, so to speak. So let me give you an example. So in the Man United game, Man United playing against them, he's got McTominay and Fred on him, right? They know that there's nobody else to mark because De Bruyne is the only man. If they're playing David Silva and De Bruyne, right, they're going to have to go one each against both of them because there's no way you can mark double up on one and leave the other free. And this is the problem what Pogba used to get a lot of the time. And again, I'm not making excuses for Pogba, but what I'm saying is because he was the main source of creativity, he get doubled up. You're only as good as the players around you sometimes. And to be fair to De Bruyne, in this Man United game in particular, he should have got 2 assists. He put one on a plate for Mahrez, and he was setting Sterling up, and Sterling was making the wrong decisions. Like when he played that 1-2 with Sterling on the left wing, Sterling dropped Wan-Bissaka for one time in the game. He should have shot. He tried to be too clever. Took 2-3, and Maguire eventually blocked it. So in De Bruyne's defense, it's a game of fine margins because we actually defended well for a change in our lives. And, it's a game of fine margins. You're going to have those moments. He should have got the assist. Mahrez is one-on-one with De Gea. He fucked that up. That's not on De Bruyne. He should have got an assist there. He should have got assist for Sterling. So in this game, I think you're being harsh. I see the overall point. But Lourdes, what are your thoughts? In terms of Man City, I agree with Keyshawn's point as well. He's trying to change up his game, Pep is. Now he's getting criticised for that as well. So you can't win really, can you?
Yeah, no. And I think what you just said hit the nail on the head as well, because we've heard a lot about, what missed goals that De Bruyne has missed and things like that. I'd be interested to see the stats for chances created and things like that, and key passes and all of those things. That's the numbers I want to see from De Bruyne, and then judging based on those. So it's just a really complex one, Man City. The whole situation. I think they've lost a few key players that have moved on, and maybe lost some of that spine. And it could just be a transitional phase. I think it's just because they've been so dominant year after year. Anytime where they seem to not be completely just coming out the gates flying in the league and at that top level, it sort of seems like, whoa, what's going on there? But like we said, they've got that game in hand, and they could slowly find their way and creep back up. Like that's the thing where you can never really count them out. So it's just, I just think ever since they had that takeover, people ain't really used to seeing this, and they usually be comfortably like in the top 4 near the top by now. So it's a bit of a shock.
Well, they're still there. Like I don't know the stats off the top of my head, but if I'm not mistaken, from 1st to 9th, it's like 6 points. Literally, it's really close. And City and Man United have got a game in hand. If we both win that game in hand, City go level with Chelsea, and Man United go above Chelsea. So it's
Usmaan,
I just think it's too early to say in a bit.
Usmaan, I think just to not get it twisted, I'm not trying to be.
We know.
No. I know. I'm not even going to repeat the point that but the point I'm basically making about the game is people have forgotten. Also, KDB had a big chance in that game where he should have scored.
He missed an open net. Yeah,
exactly. And my point about him is, look, I understand that, and the reason why I disagree with the Pogba analogy is because look at the players Pogba has been playing with compared to who De Bruyne is playing with. Mahrez, who's a player of the year winner with Leicester. He's playing with Sterling, who was their top goal scorer last season. Yeah, and look, as much as you want to say Jesus is not a good striker, Jesus consistently gets 10 goals.
I don't care about stats, man. He's not a good striker.
He consistently gets 10 goals every year in the league. And
so with many strikers in the amount of chances that they create.
But and that is the point that I'm making. They still create chances that should be enough for them to win games. Right now, his chances aren't translating into winning games, and even then, he's not creating the same amount of. You'll go, Sanj, and he's not creating the same amount of chances that he was before. Look, Kevin De Bruyne is a very good player, but right now, this season, anyway, at least, we're not seeing him have that consistent level of performance we're used to seeing him in the big games. That's why I said he's a different type of best player in the world, where his quality shines through when everyone else is doing well. That's how I see it right now.
That's fair enough. Just off City, I know, Sanj, you've got something to say. I'll come to you first, then you, Lawless, because obviously, regarding Man United, because we have not spoken about us at all, to be fair, which is fine. But we've got a comment here, right, regarding Bruno and Pogba. What were your thoughts on Bruno and Pogba? Do you think them two together work? Do you think it's something that Man United should do more in the future? Or like, because for me personally, I've got to be honest, I thought we played well. It was the final third that we were absolutely abysmal. Basically, we were non-existent in terms of having any threat. And I feel like that was the same. And I tweeted this out after the game. If Man United had if Man City had a fit Aguero, they win that game. If we had a fit, I don't know, Cavani, for example, we'd probably win that game as well. We were just missing quality up top, ball team. In that sense, why there was no goals, basically. Like, Sans, what are your thoughts? Obviously, just well,
I was just going to say, right, so that you guys are all a lot younger than me, right? So you must all know a lot more about XG than I do, right? But I'm told that Man City's XG, season upon season, since Pep has got here, is going down and down and down. So it's not just Kevin De Bruyne that's not creating as many chances as they used to. It's everyone in that team is not creating nearly as many good chances as they used to. In terms of Man United, it's a funny one. You know, you are always going on about how Ollie is just not up to it. I watch your Twitter stuff, and literally, I quite like showing it to my son to say, look, Usmaan's having a nervous breakdown again about Ollie, right? He always is about that.
24/7.
But what I thought last Tuesday or whenever that game was, that he played just the wrong team. And that's what he's always doing, is playing the wrong team for the wrong game. And in the end, he gets there, right, by hook or by crook, because you've got that many good players that you can't play.
But that's the problem.
Let me finish, right? You don't need any more players, all right? Every time something goes wrong, someone says, oh, we need this, we need that, we need this. I'm thinking, you've got virtually everything you need. So many of your players would walk into most teams, right? But it's a philosophy about the great Man United teams that I remembered when I was growing up that used to kill me on a regular basis, right? Used to make me afraid to walk out on High Street, right? But they could all defend high up on the pitch and squeeze the life out of the opposition, right? Yeah. And when you do that on a more consistent basis, then you will start being title contenders, and that is just a philosophy. It's a strategy. But that comes down and then you can play Bruno and Pogba whenever they want. Right, because if you got that defensive thing, that strength and that belief that in fact we've got a great back four, because you've got good defenders. There's no doubt about it. You have got good defenders. They make mistakes every now and then, but all defenders make mistakes. That's the nature of the beast, right? Once they're all aligned and doing the same thing week in, week out, you don't have that many injuries at the moment, do you? You're able to play a settled back four week in, week out, aren't you?
Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah, so that's all it is, and then you can start talking about the Bruno and the Pogba thing. I thought it was interesting that Pogba played off the left on Saturday, didn't he? Which is kind of like where he used to play for Juventus. They used to play the diamond sort of thing, and
he played well. What a shock! So you know what I mean?
Yeah, but he didn't. It wasn't like he played so well that he changed the game completely.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. He was solid enough, and Bruno was solid enough. Like I said, I think the back five, back six are your most important players in terms of giving you that basis, that framework, but play them in the right positions. Don't play this three at the back or whatever it is that you played against Leipzig the week. Someone was saying last Tuesday it was all Wan-Bissaka's fault because he exposed that space, right? So it's not his fault, because if he tucks in, he's got loads of space to his right hand side, which he can't mark. So Angelin,
but a lot of the things that you're saying is down to the tactics and the manager.
Yeah, so it's a tactical thing, and once he's got all those tactics right on a consistent basis,
but he's not.
Then look, by the way, I go to bed every night thankful that you're still crap, right? And therefore, I've got no fear that the majority of my 20s and 30s are going to repeat on me, right? It's not going to happen. But once you get the tactics right, by the way, I don't know who it is who you think tactically could come in and transform it. That's one thing I'd say. And Kish will know better than me as a Spurs fan whether Poch is the man to tactically make things different. I don't know.
Right. Okay. Just To be honest, for me personally, Ollie's a fraud. No, I'm joking. I just don't think he's good enough. Like, I love the man as a player, he's a legend, you know, but I just don't think he's going to win the title.
You know what? This is what I've been waiting for, Usmaan, right? You know when I said I was going to come for you, right? And I haven't forgotten. I have not forgotten, right, from Twitter. And this is what I have to say, because we was chatting anyway about
here we go.
Man United and stuff like that, and you was talking about Ollie doesn't have a pair and things like that, and I tweeted, put some respect on the man's name with your own words against you, praising about the results against Everton, Southampton, West Ham, and Man City, and how you've got the points on the board. And you said
that tweet though. What does I say that tweet? Go read it out.
What do you want me to read out your response to me using your tweet?
No, because in that tweet I said we've not played great, but we've got the points on the board.
Yeah, you got the points on the board.
But the point that I'm making with that tweet is, with a proper manager who's got philosophy and a system, I still like what Sanjay said. We've got quality in this team. No one can tell me that there's not quality in this team. With a manager who can get the best out of Rashford, Martial, you know, Greenwood, whatever it may be, I genuinely think we can challenge.
I don't think it's possible, because my next point, you said even shit managers like Moyes have good patches and results, but their true colours always shine. Don't worry. And this is my point. Man United are poison. You will take a great promising manager, someone like a Pochettino, and you will turn them to absolute shit. You had someone like David Moyes, who at the time
but at the time, when you hired him,
go on. I've got a response.
He was a promising manager, done so much with hardly any resources. So it was like, what could he do with Man United? He went to Man United, the poison that the club is, and it ended up ruining his career. He weren't even there for a full year, was he?
Yeah.
And he was on some big contract. Like, same with like Alexis Sanchez. Like, you took him, like someone who was one of the best players in the league.
He was in decline at the time when we took him. He was Arsenal's best player when you took him. Like, he was dragging them through stuff. What happened? All he did was do a little piano video. That's it. That's his highlight. Pogba was one of the highest rated players in football. And now look, and he's now in Man United. It's
even like some United fans are questioning Bruno. Dan, even some
exactly. LBG was rated. Jose Mourinho, look at Jose Mourinho, who not long ago won the league with Chelsea. Like, and then what happens is he goes to Man United, he wins you guys a trophy, gets hounded out. You never reach the heights that you did under Mourinho again. You never finished. Like, what did he get? You got you second, third, and he got your European trophy. And you had someone like Ollie, your legend, the guy who won you the Champions League as a player. And now look, Man United is poison. You're poisoning Aaron Wan-Bissaka. It's just
Wan-Bissaka's fine.
Harry Maguire, highly rated centre back at Leicester. What happens now? He's just everyone's calling him a fridge.
Right. Are you gonna let me answer?
Answer me why Man United is poisonous.
I respect relax on the answer.
I could go further.
Oh yeah, right. Okay. Regarding the Moyes first and foremost, let me just address Moyes first. You're so looking cold. You're looking cold just not here because he does not like Moyes. But anyways, regarding the situation, players, Moyes and stuff, it's very simple for me. The pressure at Manchester United is different, and I'll explain. When Moyes was up. Well, when he's at West Ham, you get a couple of bad results here and there. Just hypothetically speaking, you win a game, you lose a game. Let's just say that happens at West Ham, yeah? Your fans are not going to get onto his back. The media is not going to get onto his back, and rightfully so, because West Ham are not expected to win week in, week out. And that's not a knock on you, that's just the situation, yeah? Right. I've been guilty of it. The media have been guilty of it. Rival fans. If Man United lose a game, we lost to RB Leipzig, by the way, and PSG, the finalists, the semi-finalists. Again, I'm not making excuses. You know, we shouldn't have lost those games. However, when we lost to PSG, we got Mbappe and Neymar, right, who both happened to have, basically turned up on the night. The amount of media coverage surrounding Manchester United is completely different to how it's at West Ham. He lost to PSG, which is perfectly normal. Like, you're not expected to beat PSG by all of these teams back to back because it's not possible. No one ever does that. The thing is, the pressure at Manchester United is difficult and it's different. The media are onto us as soon as we lose a game. Hence why Moyes flopped at Manchester United. Because to be fair to him, he did okay in moments, but he lost a couple of games on the bounce, and that's just the nature of the business.
But you don't even give him a full season.
No,
Look at it. This is why you fail. How can you rebuild?
Listen, that might
a
be
manager like Ferguson.
But
Fergie was never
players,
survived.
look at players. Let me explain. Yes, wait. Let me explain. So look at Martial again. Perfect example, right? Man's bagged 22 goals last season. Yes, absolutely shocking start to the season. I'm not denying that. He scored 3 in the Champions League, admittedly 1 in the wrong net. But the point is he's done well in Champions League, okay? Not statistically, but in his performances, he's actually played well in Champions League. In the Premier League, he's been abysmal. What is everyone saying about Martial? What is everyone saying? He's just bagged 22 goals, right? Last season, your first season up front ever. What is everyone saying? He's a flop. He's not good enough. Paul Scholes a month before was saying I was wrong about Martial on BT. A month later, Martial's never going to make it at number 9. That is the pressure at Manchester United. If you don't,
this is why you don't succeed.
But that's just Manchester United because the standard's so high. It's just how it is because
you're crumbling under your own standards. This is why you don't.
It's true, but it would be the same at other clubs. No, but look, I'm sure Daniel would agree with me. It's the same in their fan base and the media. If Lampard now loses another game in a row, I guarantee you, everyone on social media is calling Lampard a fraud. I guarantee it.
I agree with both guys. I can't lie.
It's Man United. If that's at West Ham and you lose 2 games in a row, no one is calling for Moises' head because the pressure isn't there for you got to be winning back to back, and that's why it's different. Man United. Is it right? No, it's not. But regarding Oli, I genuinely believe with the squad that we got. Coming back to what San said, with a CDM, I think we've got one of the best midfielders in the league. I know Pogba's leaving, but obviously, hypothetically speaking, with Pogba, Bruno, and just say Ndidi, for example, who I want personally, and Van der Beek on the bench, I think that's good enough to challenge comfortably. Is Oli going to challenge with that team?
It's no Rice, Souček, and Ben Rama. That's what I'm just going to say.
Yeah, listen, Ben Rama's a baller, but he couldn't do against us, and it is what it is. But listen, let's move on from Man United. That's my thoughts. Obviously, you're entitled to your own opinions. James, who's regular, he's the most negative fan that I know. Just put, we're missing a good manager. That's all he put. Right, anyways, let's move on. Let's talk about Chelsea against Everton. Listen, we'll start with you, Lawrence, actually. I feel like you're a bit of a neutral in this one, really, because, your team's not... Your team is actually in between both of them, actually, now that I look at the table, so fair play. Right, what are your thoughts? Chelsea, just to throw a stat out there, not beating a team in the top 10 once this season. Every time they've had a challenge, basically failed, practically, you could argue. Maybe the Spurs game, they should have won that one really on a different day. I know Giroud definitely should have scored, although Spurs could have won it last kick of the game. What are your thoughts on Lampard in the current situation?
Listen, you know what? I was really shocked by that stat because, from where I was looking at Chelsea, it was it just seemed to me like, boom, they're having a good season. They're still trying to bed in their players, but they're up there. They're up where they want to be. But to say that they haven't beaten
there you go. There you go. I can answer the Oli question for you. No.
Poor guy, Oli. No, but did you say top 10? Like no one in the top 10.
Who's currently in the top 10? They've not beaten anyone in the top 10 as it stands.
Boy, I mean,
to be fair, they'll beat Arsenal in a couple of weeks. So that's all right.
Yeah, exactly. But that's it. So that's a shock. That's a really shocking stat. I mean, obviously the season isn't over. They could go and get some wins against. Knowing West Ham would be the first team, in the top 10 for that they beat because we love those breaking those records. But yeah, it's a weird one. I don't know what it says about their team if they big time Charlies or whatever they call them, but. It's something that they've got to figure out. They've got to be able to turn up in the big games. You look at the FA Cup final, they were, by the most part, I think they were hard done by in that FA Cup final against Arsenal. I thought they were the better team when they had 11 men on the pitch. They also had an injury and stuff like that. So they have it in there, but I don't know what it is. They're missing something. Maybe it's some sort of killer instinct. But Lampard, who is a winner, who is a great player, he should know. He has turned up in big games, so he needs to find a way to transfer that onto his players. Obviously Daniel probably man.
Yeah. He could probably still do it last 10 minutes of that game. I guarantee you score. Kish, listen, what are your thoughts? Everton, Actually, I was the only person in the preview that predicted that Everton win, so I'm just going to throw that in there now quickly. Everyone else said 3-1 Chelsea, easy Chelsea win. I was like, nah, Everton are winning this one for me. Like, what's your thoughts? Where's it going wrong?
He's got a bit of a conundrum, Lampard, and I think the main player he's got a conundrum with is Havertz. I think the issue that he's having with Havertz is, to tell you the truth, he doesn't know where to play him. He generally doesn't know where to play him.
Just play him in calm.
He seems to put him on the left, on the right, in calm. Like he doesn't know. It's like it's one of those at the moment where he thinks that he's too good of a player not to put on the bench. So I need to start him somewhere, and he'll come out with some sort of magic. That's what it seems like to me. And I think with Lampard, these games, he feels like he's either trying too hard or for whatever reason he seems lost. Because I've always said if you play the right players in the right positions, I still see Chelsea
Daniel said this about 2 months
as a challenging. And I saw Dan's tweet yesterday or Saturday saying this game shows why we're not ready for the title yet, and we're like a season away. But this is the season where I don't see anyone winning the league with a canter. It's someone that might actually fall over the line, in my opinion, because of results from all the top teams. Anyone in that top end could win it just by getting not even 8-9 wins in a row. It could be a couple of wins here or there, a couple of draws. So
could be Moisey.
It's strange because surely from a Chelsea fan point of view, it must be frustrating that he seems to get it right for a period of time, but then he seems to have the urge to kind of change it up, which is really strange because it's like, why do you change a winning formula, something that's comfortable?
To be fair, he has had injuries. Let's be real.
I get 100%.
Exactly. Wingers.
I get it, but then sometimes I feel like he overcomplicates it. And let's at least give Everton a bit of credit, because I think Ancelotti did a very good job on that Chelsea attack, especially in defence, because they've been criticised, Everton, from the beginning of the season in terms of
certain man said Yeremina against our
exactly. And also, I love this guy. For me, Richarlison needs a move. He is, honestly, I rate that guy so highly.
Did you see the way he was slapping their fans about on Twitter?
Richarlison, for me, has got everything. He's got
Did you play right wing on
power, technical ability.
Played on the left. He played dead anyway that game.
And he's a nasty bastard as well.
He's a nasty.
He's
a proper Brazilian type of like hardball, isn't he? And to be honest, any team in the top end of world football could do with having someone like Richarlison, in my opinion. I think he'd get into most teams. I can't lie to you. So
he still has a lot to prove. Not gonna lie,
he does. I'm saying he's got the ability to under the right circumstances and in that bigger club. I feel like
look at Jota at Liverpool. Look, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, he could thrive.
Yeah, no.
Listen, Daniel. Just before we bring you in, so I'm gonna let you have your piece on your team.
Yeah.
Sanj, for me personally, right. Looking at that lineup, it screams out to me: square pegs, round holes. Like what? Look, I understand Pulisic is not fit. I bought him on fancy football, think he's starting. Then he got injured or some shit, so I was fuming about that. But obviously, Ziyech is injured. Why not just play 3 at the back, right? I play 3-4-2, like 3-4-1-2. Havertz is in his position in camp. Then you've got obviously you got Chilwell, who's a fantastic left wing back. You got Reece James, who had a brilliant game as well, right wing back. Give him the license to go forward. You got Havertz, who's predominantly a cam. You got Werner up front, where he plays. Like everyone would be in their position there, realistically speaking.
Was Hudson-Odoi injured, by the way? Was Hudson-Odoi injured?
Yeah, he's injured for 2 weeks.
He's injured.
And Ziyech is injured as well, isn't he?
Yeah, no, they didn't have any.
Ziyech.
Ziyech.
So that's why for me personally, should have went 3-4-1-2.
And if I was the manager, right, and I don't watch Chelsea every week, like whereas Dan does, right, I wouldn't be playing Havertz. The problem is you got to play Havertz because he's the most expensive player that Chelsea have ever bought. But he's the archetypal square peg in the round hole kind of thing, and he literally changed the balance, doesn't he? I think most of his goals have come in the League Cup or the Europa League, haven't they? I don't think he's been that great so far in the league, and I think that's the issue. And of course, are you going to turn round to Roman Abramovich, who literally can have you killed within a second? So, you know that product that you bought for me that's really, really good? I don't like him very much. Is it all right if I just stick him on the bench for the rest of the season? It's not going to happen, is it? So, Frank's only been a manager for what, 2.5 years? Is that right?
Yeah.
I don't think he's got enough credit in the bank to say. I don't know that anyone's got enough credit in the bank to turn around to Roman Abramovich and say, "Yeah, I don't know why I don't want that player." But certainly, I think that's going to be his problem for the majority of the season. Every time I've seen Chelsea, they've looked all right, but they do look like they can struggle at the back. Was it Southampton that came back to get a 3-3 draw a few weeks ago?
Right, yeah.
I watched most of the Everton game at the weekend, but it was a first goal game as far as I was concerned. Everton got the goal, got the lead, and that was it. And basically, they clung on. And Chelsea had chances towards the end of that game. They could have walked away with a 1-1 draw. I think 1-1 would have been fine, would have been a fair result. But as it is, they didn't get it, and therefore it looks a lot worse. But I think Chelsea will be all right this season. Whether they will challenge right towards the end of the season, I don't know. Whether the challenge will drop off around about February, March kind of thing, I don't know. But I wouldn't quibble too much with what Frank's doing, and I think he's got that defence a lot tighter, and he's picking the right people at the back. I think Zuma's an unbelievable player. Zuma looks great at the back. So I don't, and obviously Thiago Silva is just a wonderful professional. So I think the back four looked pretty good. I don't think they had that many problems. The only time they got caught short was when they were chasing the game towards the end, and Everton kept knocking it long. And of course, Everton's great strength is those front two with Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin. So if I was a Chelsea fan, I'd be disappointed, but I wouldn't be like hanging my head in shame, going, "Oh my God, it's all over." I think they'll be all right this year.
No, I don't think so. No, I'm joking. Daniel, what do you reckon? Do you think 3-4-1-2? I'd actually be the manager. Would it be?
No, do you know what? Do you know what? Yeah, obviously, I'm gonna address all the points that everyone's made. That kind of in a quick sum up here. I'll try, but obviously, you have to understand. Look, on the Lampard side, none of our wingers were available, and he wants to play that 4-3-3 formation.
That's why.
No.
Use the fullbacks were brilliant going forward.
No, and I was even going to get to that, but you have to think about it like this. Like, even at the beginning of the season, when you ask a lot of fans and you look at the fan base, one of the biggest things that the fan base said is, we do not want to see that three at the back ever again. We don't like it. It doesn't work. It works some games and it doesn't work in other games. And I think Frank just wanted to keep consistent with the formation that he had available to him.
Yeah, but he didn't have the personnel for that, though.
You say that, but if Mane, Salah, Firmino all get injured, Klopp's still playing the 4-3-3. Do you get what I'm saying? The big team rarely ever change. The best teams rarely ever change their formation. That's one thing, innit? So whether the 3-4-1-2 would have worked that game and we would have won, that's besides the point, because as Chelsea, with the way we're trying to go, we want to stick with one formation and win with that formation. Call it stubborn, call it stupid. That's what Lampard wants to do, and that's what we just have to go with, whether we win or lose or draw. That's one thing. The Havertz thing, I totally get it. Every time Havertz has played on the wing this season, he hasn't been great. And it's really because you have to remember with the Havertz situation, like Havertz recently just had a great game against Burnley, and that's when everyone was fit. Havertz, Ziyech, Werner, all of these guys were interchanging position. It was free-flowing. Kovacic, Mount, Kant. Like, it was literally the best game I've ever seen. And we were literally fantasizing, what could this Chelsea team do when everyone's fit? Granted, the season, the way it's going, everyone's not going to be fit all the time. And Havertz obviously just had COVID. And obviously, Usmaan, you'll know, Pogba was looking very, very terrible after he came back from COVID. And Havertz as well, you have to cut him some slack.
I'm a fan of Havertz, so I'm not going to really
and no, Havertz is going to be a slow starter. Like, he's not easy on the eye for some guys. He's a bit like the Ozil type player. He's laid back. He doesn't look like he works hard, but he does do the running, but he doesn't look like it. And when you don't look like James Milner, don't play like James Milner, people are going to be on your back. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's just the way. And especially when you're not assisting or scoring, it's just going to look that way, and that's the way it goes. For me, Havertz is someone you're just going to have to give time to. Like, you literally have, if you're not going to give him time, and for me personally, I'm going to give him the time. Rival fan bases aren't, he's going to get bantered every week. I'm fine with that, as long as he gets the right time into the team and whatnot. And then the last point is, look, if you look at the Everton game, Usmaan, you saying Everton will win the game, it's not really a surprise. That's a game where big teams sometimes go away.
Well, but that's not what the consensus was when I said it last week.
No, of course it wouldn't. But let's just apart from Arsenal, let's look at the impact home fans actually have on their teams. Crystal Palace do not come back against Tottenham without their fans. Everton do not hold on. Everton don't. No, exactly. And then and the overarching point is that haven't beaten a top side. It's a nothing stat for me personally, and the reason why I say that is because let's look at the context of it. The Liverpool game, we got a red card, and we didn't have a fully fit squad. We were never really winning that game. Then you look at the two teams that we have beaten, would you say Crystal Palace and Leeds are bad teams? Where we've convincingly beaten them. Crystal Palace, who you got hammered to, Usmaan, and who you just drew
That was
to.
first game of the season, done it?
Oh, that was first game of the season, and then Leeds. No, but that's our Leeds.
Listen, we all I know, we beat Burnley, we're above you. That's all I know. I don't care about what happened with.
All I'm saying is though, like the reason why I say it's a nothing stat. Yes, Chelsea of course need to start beating the bigger sides. However, look, Everton are 10th. So because if we beat Everton, a 10th place side, we finally get over that stat, and it's like, oh, Chelsea haven't beaten a top 6 side. It's always going to change. Like you can't. We're going
to continue to move the goalpost, man.
Of course, don't worry, man. And that's what we do.
I'm gonna keep going into this top 2, top 1.
Exactly, and that's what we do. Last year, how long did it take? Yeah, last year, how long did it take? Yeah, for Lampard to beat a top 6 side, and finally, when he did, he was consistently beating the tops. Like he won. He beat Pep. He beat Mourinho.
Did you?
We beat you in the FA Cup semi-final.
What does that mean? You got battered by Arsenal, so
battered. After Lawless just said we deserve to win that game. Yeah, all in all, look, all I'm saying is, final point is we will be fine.
Listen, let's move on. Daniel. Why? Because I've just looked at time and I realized we've not spoken about Arsenal, which is the reason we've all come on the show. Right, we're going to speak about Arsenal, obviously the West Ham, Liverpool, etc. So we'll try and keep it short. You know, I know everyone wants to, a bit of Arsenal. Kish, we'll start with you first. Me and Daniel will have our piece at the end, innit? Right, Kish, listen. Just take it away, but what can I say? Kish,
I did predict 0-0 before the game started, but they are absolutely embarrassing. It is an absolute shambles. I feel like Xhaka is like a kid that always gets detention at school, and like no matter how many times he tries to get away with it, he just makes it so obvious what he's trying to achieve that he must do a manager's head in. He's now done this when Wenger was manager, when Emery was manager. How many lives does this guy get? It's like a cat. Like honestly, I don't understand how he's still playing for that club. The disrespect that guy has given that club. Do you really think under someone like Fergie that would be even allowed? Like it's embarrassing that club.
Even under Moyes wouldn't be allowed.
Don't get me wrong. Listen, it's not just one man. You know, him getting sent off. That's not the only sort of reason. But you look at Arsenal right now. What's their identity? How are they a defensive team? Are they an attacking team? How do they play? Because at the moment it feels like he's just got 11 players on the field, and he's just hoping that someone in his front 3 or front 4 is going to do something. That's what he's hoping. It feels like the players are hiding. Aubameyang now, when he gets the ball on the left-hand side, he doesn't want to do anything. He literally looks like he's thinking in his head, I'm just going to pass this to someone and then I'm off. Like literally, it feels like the players are absolutely frightened because they don't know what to do. And it's so strange to see it. And yes, we've gone about Ozil, Ceballos not starting. I don't care about that now. The problem is bigger. Arteta has been covered by the fact that they won the FA Cup. Those cracks have been covered by the fact that they won the FA Cup. And again, Lawless mentioned this. If it wasn't for, if Pulisic, whatever, again, give them credit when credit's due, right? They won the FA Cup, fantastic. And they won the Community Shield, fantastic. But since then, you can't say to me that he deserves to still be in his job. Also, this is Arsenal's worst start.
Listen, I've just looked at the table, right?
1977.
Listen to this start, because I didn't realize it was this bad. In the last 5 games, right? I swear to God, I'm not even lying. The only team that's picked up less points than Arsenal is Sheffield United.
There you go.
Every other team in the last 5 games has got. Arsenal picked up 1 point in the last 5. They've not scored. They've scored. The last 2 goals, Gabriel is the leading goal scorer practically in the league. The last goal in open play was Gabriel header, which was way back. Like
it is an absolute shambles, Usmaan. You've got people like Troops that are starting on midgets, like scrapping. Like it's literally not nice to see. Do you know what I mean? What did they say? Be careful what you wish for. We all said it about Wenger, that Wenger overachieved at Arsenal under limited finances for God knows since 2005. He had limited finances. He kept Arsenal in the Champions League for majority of his reign. I think it was only the last 18 months, 2 seasons, that he didn't get them Champions League football. I think they came 5th or 6th in those seasons. Be careful what you wish for. Look where they are.
Listen, relegation battle, 2 years on, no less. Listen,
I could be happier. I could not be happier.
Listen,
I'll be honest.
kids, I would have to move you on because we're on 15 minutes and we haven't even spoken about none of your last teams and the Champions League draw or the title race. But listen, no less. Arsenal relegation battle. Obviously, you've got a lot of experience in that. You know, any tips for the Arsenal fans how to get through these hard times? You know, what are your thoughts?
They listen. They won't be able to cope. They won't be able. They don't have that. They don't have the steel and the grit.
They've got
to
hard
deal
games
with it.
as well.
Big Sam is pending. Big Sam is pending.
Yeah. He is. No, I'm telling you what, Big Sam would do a decent job there for them. I'm not even taking the mick. Like, that's what they need. That is really what they need right now, because I tried to tell them, don't get excited. Don't get your hopes up. They didn't listen. And now they're crying. And this is the thing, like, it's people are turning on Arteta, but there are still people that back in Arteta. I don't understand it, because they're saying that Arteta doesn't have the players. The players aren't good enough. No one was saying that when they won the FA Cup.
No one was saying after the window, party time.
Yeah, party time. Like they've got Gabriel now. Like if anything, they've improved on the team they had last year. There was no talks about the players. So how can you sit there and say, oh, it's not Arteta's fault, it's just the players? Like any manager would be 15th with those players. No, that's
look at the team on paper. Look at that front three of Pepe, Lacazette, and Aubameyang on paper.
Fulham and West Brom have got more points than them in the last 5 games, boys. Like joining center.
Yeah, but that's it. Like it's crazy. And to have Aubameyang not scoring. I saw a stat that he is the 2nd top goal scorer for Burnley right now. That's turning.
Also, another stat here. He's got more goals at home for the opposition than he has for Arsenal.
Yeah, this is insane. There's something not right in that team.
6 games at home.
I think he's lost the dressing room. Dressing room. I saw a stat saying that they've got Arsenal have like 7 red cards under Arteta.
Yeah, the most
is
by 4,
more. The next
5,
by 4. It's clearly a discipline issue. There's clearly a lack of respect from his team behind the scenes. Now we're seeing all this Saliba's coming out and talking about being in prison and all of this stuff. Guendouzi's not happy. Socrates obviously been frozen out. Ozil, like there's something there where like I think he's lost the players. He's lost the dressing room. And when that happens, like the writing is on the wall. People talk about when he needs time to clear out the players. You cannot clear out 25 players and start again, or however many players he needs to clear out. He's not going to have that time. Like, it's just not going to happen. As much as they would love it to be, a lot of them can't face the facts that they were wrong about Arteta. And they need to realize that they're going to be, as much as every season they're going to keep hyping themselves up, they're never getting back there, not for a long time. This is their reality now, and they need to accept it.
The clearing out the players, I agree to it, but you don't need to clear out players to beat Burnley and Aston Villa.
Exactly. Like, that is their second win of the season.
Or be starting 15. Man United are probably going to lose to Sheffield United after I've said this. But, you know, I'm still going to say it with my chest. You don't need... Like, look what Hassan was doing with Southampton. Look what Moyes is doing with West Ham. You can't tell me their teams on paper are better than Arsenal.
No, but the difference is Burnley are legit a bad team.
I know, but what I'm saying is, if like they're talking about how poor their squad is.
Oh no, I agree.
Yeah, compared to West Ham, Southampton, Brighton, Newcastle are above them. Like, it's just like it's sad.
Man, just name it a forfeit Arsenal first 11. Name it in your head and think that is a top squad on paper. That first 11, you put them all together. Ceballos,
it's top 10 at least. It's at least top 10. It's not 15. Let's go on Arsenal. It's not 15.
But quick question, actually, because someone said a comment saying Arsenal need Allegri, right? So for you three, Sanj, I mean, you've been really comfortable with and happy with Klopp, but it's been a while, like for a long time. Yeah. But I keep seeing Arsenal. I've only ever seen Arsenal fans calling for Allegri, right? Never seen Man United fans call for Allegri. Never seen Chelsea fans call for Allegri.
When we wanted them, we said No. When they said we wanted him, everyone said no. We're tired of this kind of manager. We're tired.
Like
it's only for some reason.
Arsenal can't get Allegri. They either get Hasenhuttl or Nagelsmann. They need someone that plays proper football. Like, obviously, we don't know about Arsenal just yet, but in terms of someone who's got that, for me personally, Arsenal's all about attacking DNA. Poch would actually be perfect for Arsenal. But,
he never used to be about attacking DNA though. Before
under Graham, obviously
1-0 to the Arsenal.
Yeah, 1-0 to Arsenal. But Stan, let's get your thoughts. Obviously, you know, like I said, we need to get through to everyone on the team. But you know, what are your thoughts? Arsenal sat in 15. As I said, they got Southampton next. I believe they got Everton, then Chelsea. It's not looking good for them, is it? Really?
I think that under him, they've traditionally done better against the bigger teams because he normally has some kind of sophisticated game plan. Blah, blah, blah. But one thing I did worry about him a few weeks ago was when he was getting the odd good result against a big team. I mean, I know we beat them at Anfield, but obviously they beat us in the Community Shield and they'd beaten us in the league towards the end of last year. There were these shoots that he can do it against the big teams, but it was a very, very small kind of thing, like playing on mistakes. And when you're trying to build a team, with a team like Arsenal, where they've not had a great deal of real success, you know, they won the odd cup, but they haven't actually really dominated in any aspect of football now for 3 or 4 years. It's quite hard to get the buy-in from your players to say, right, we're going to try this week, boys. So that's where my concern is for him. I understand what the boys are saying about, you know, losing the dressing room, all that sort of stuff, but I think in the end, you're just going to have to commit to a style of play that is more in keeping with the way that your team has played traditionally. And like you were saying, those are some Wenger days where everyone was booing towards the end and saying, oh, we've had too much of this. Well, I tell you what, they look like glory days now, don't they? Because actually,
well, that top four consistently under Wenger.
But he kept to a philosophy, didn't he? And you might say the philosophy was buying cheap, selling expensive, and always having certainly best players, and usually faltering away in the last 10 games of the season when you look like you had a title challenge. But at least he got them to that stage. And I think maybe Arteta has to look at that and think, well, should I just go for it? Just go for every single game, because they're not going for it anymore, are they? They look like they're sort of betwixt between styles.
Well, they did for 15 minutes, like generally, like banner aside. After the half-time whistle for 15 minutes, but prior to Xhaka getting sent off, it looked inevitable that Arsenal were going to score. And then obviously Xhaka just had we haven't really mentioned him.
By the way, I've got no animosity towards Arsenal at all. I actually like Arsenal as a club. I almost think someone said to me once that Liverpool and Arsenal are quite similar in the sense that Arsenal have always been not talked about quite as much in North London, Liverpool not talked about quite as much in the Northwest as Manchester United are. So I don't mind Arsenal. I'm sure Kish will tell me something different, but I don't mind seeing Arsenal do well. It makes me quite unhappy to see them doing as badly as they are. I spoke to an Arsenal fan this morning, and she's normally really upbeat, and she was like, I don't know where it's going to go with this.
Well, I don't know her personally, but the Arsenal fans I know, I couldn't be happier that they're crying. Anyways, Daniel, listen, I'll let you have the final say, and then we'll obviously wrap it up with obviously our other teams. Listen, I've just got to throw this in here, right? We kind of, Laura's kind of mentioned lost the dressing room. Well, let's talk about mismanagement of players for a second. Everyone knew that Partey wasn't fit. Everyone knew it. The reports were saying he's going to be back, you know, towards the end of the season. He rushed him back. He got injured. Guendouzi got rid of him. Willian did something similar, kept him in the team, plays week in, week out. Pepe gets sent off. Okay, granted, Arteta said what he said after the game. I can't fault him. But Xhaka gets sent off. Does Arteta hold the same energy? Absolutely not. Doesn't even mention it. Saliba's situation. Now you apparently doesn't want him at the club. He's not good enough. Well, Holding's not putting up any trees. We don't need to go on those because I do think that is political. I don't think that's down to him. But in terms of his management off the squad, off the players, like is he out of his depth? Basically, is what I'm asking you. Does he actually know what he's doing?
The thing is, obviously, because I'm gonna have to shoot off after this, but with the Arsenal situation, what happened is I actually, I had a conversation a while back with someone who actually released an article, Chris Wheatley. He basically writes for Football London and whatnot. And basically what he has said is that he has lost the dressing room, basically. And a lot of senior players at the club don't really believe in the philosophy or where he's trying to take the club. The situation that I can compare it to the most is Andre Villas-Boas. So when AVB came into Chelsea, first thing he wanted to do was push out Lampard, push out Drogba, push out Ashley Cole, push out John Terry.
Yeah, he was
Fair
benching
enough.
He was benching quite a few, wasn't he?
Fair enough, Chelsea and Arsenal were different because obviously that is the spine of the team. However, when you come into a club, you need to be able to analyze the most liked, the most well-liked players, the guys that everyone loves in the club, the Pepes, the Guendouzi's, the Socrateses of this world, and you need to make sure that they are happy first. You need to be a bit more like Mourinho, my role model, my guy. What he did, the reason why I bring it up and it's relevant is because look at Dele Alli. When he came into that club, Dele Alli was playing. And Dele Alli was actually in a good run of form towards the end of the back end of last season. But then what he did is that he didn't like the way Dele Alli was training, and he showed him that Tottenham can win without Dele Alli. Fair enough, Mourinho has got the pedigree that the players can believe in the philosophy and what they're trying to do. However, the same, like Arteta couldn't have got it any more wrong in terms of his management of the players. I said it already, the Guendouzi thing, loaning him out to a nonsense club because of the little thing that he did, even in the game where really and truly he was backing his player. Yeah, that's the reason why Arsenal players are probably on his side. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah, so for me personally, when you look at Arsenal and Arteta, look, on the good side, for me, I think Arteta does have a plan in his head. However, it wasn't executed right because when you come into a club, you better make sure that those guys who you do not want at the club, you better make sure they are not at the club when you start the season. And it's not a coincidence that as soon as the registration of players comes into it, as soon as Maitland-Niles talks about backing Ozil, stuff like that, all these little conspiracies here and there, as soon as all of that happens, Arsenal suddenly start losing and are on a terrible decline. Look, all I'll say is what will happen, I hope he doesn't get sacked until after the Chelsea game, because what will happen is they'll lose to Southampton, lose to Everton, he'll get sacked. And then new manager bounce, they'll beat Chelsea. And that is definitely what's going to happen.
I love it if that happens, as Keegan was saying. I love it.
But yeah, literally, it's really bad now. Like, it's actually beyond laughable. I didn't even laugh anymore because it's like Arsenal Football Club are really 15th. Like, and they've lost more games than every team below them apart from Sheffield United, which is a terrible, terrible thing to have on your resume. Like, really and truly, people were telling me the Emery situation was different. I totally disagree. Look, Emery, you might not like him, but Emery was much better than this. He did not have the club here. 15th. That squad is not the 15th worst squad in the league or the 15th best squad in the league, however you want to see it. And at the end of the day, the FA Cup was blurred lines. You're seeing the lack of consistencies, the inconsistency. Look, at least Troops, people say they don't like Troops. At least Troops is consistent. He says this guy needs to go. And yes, the problems are bigger than Arteta, but
Troops is not consistent, brother. I've got a clip of
look, he needs to go. He needs to go.
Bro,
no, of course he was going to say that.
Arteta's, my manager, Arsenal fan are not consistent. They were saying Xhaka is better than Pogba. They were saying Tierney's the best left back.
Lord is consistent. He's a consistent guy.
Listen, that's it. Look, at the end of the day,
he needs to get sacked. If you're a big club,
don't sack him. Don't sack him. Don't listen to him. Right, let's move on. We're going to wrap it. We're going to talk about West Ham game. Yes, Daniel, thank you for coming on. We're going to talk about West Ham and then we'll talk Liverpool against Spurs to finish the show. Right, Daniel, we'll pass it. Oh, yeah, it's Daniel. I can actually call you Daniel. Right, I'll call you Nonis just for confusion's sake. Right, Nonis, listen, let's talk about your team. Eventually, in the end, listen, there's a few things I want to point out, right? First of all, what is wrong with your fan base in Highland? What's he done wrong? Like, just leave the guy alone. That's the first thing, right? And the second thing is, what is Moyes doing here? You've seen that sort of team chemistry. Everyone's in it together. Like Declan Rice looks like he actually wants to stay as well, which is good to see. You know, because I don't actually want him to leave. I want him to stick it out, to be fair to him. But listen, talk to me. You guys in fifth, if I'm not mistaken.
We're sixth now since Southampton won, which I can't stand that club. Anytime we do well, they have to try and outshine us. Like, they have dead season after dead season. But when we come up, they want to try and do a bit better and try and outshine us. Sick of that club, honestly. Liverpool feeder club. But it's going well. Everything's going well. Like you said, that togetherness. There's a good togetherness in the squad. Again, I don't know why some of our fan base are trying to tear apart that togetherness and trying to put dissension in the team where it isn't there. It's just a lot of fan bases have that little toxic section that want to try and tear everything down, right? Yeah. But it's going well. Listen, Marco Bielsa is a manager, and I'm not saying I don't rate him or anything, but the hype around him from the media, from he's talking about being nominated for Manager of the Year or all of these awards and things like that. We slapped their team. We slapped them silly. Like, they are lucky it was 2-1. Again, chance after chance. We need to do better. Fornals, I love Fornals, but geez, man, like if you see the highlights for our watch along, he nearly, literally, my voice went so high, I nearly cracked all the glass in the house because it just gave me a hard. Like some of them chances, but
he missed loads against us as well. Like he was
exactly. That's why I thought it was going to be a repeat, and we was playing some really good football. Ben Rama, absolute baller, finally got his first half.
Like, I don't want to say Payet because, of course, I'm in terms of not ability-wise, but in terms of the impact that he could potentially have.
Yeah, I think he adds a little bit more than Payet because, unlike Payet, he can track. He was tracking back, winning back the ball, and then going and creating a chance like straight away, getting a chance to withdraw on goal. Like, I never saw Payet go back and put tackles in and then go on an attack. Never saw that. And obviously, like, it's early doors. We got to see him over more time, but he was unbelievable. And this is the point, we're playing such football now. We got to the point where our confidence was up there. We had Ogbonna, our centre back, bursting down the wing, putting in a ball to our other centre back to score. Like, he nearly assists one centre back, nearly assisted another centre back. So it shows that we can play that football. I think Moyes is showing a little bit of versatility of going, right, when we need to hold tight, sharp shot, we can do that. When there's time to go for it, we can do that. There's still certain decisions he makes drives me crazy, but I'm happy and we're looking good. And I just hope we can maintain it. We're missing Antonio, our biggest outlet, one of our best players.
I said to you as well, you need Martial, hopefully, obviously, speedy recovery to him as well.
Big loss.
I know, man. He was fantastic against Man United, actually, to be fair.
Usmaan, there's a reason why they call him the Moisire.
That's what I mean. When you're not poison, when you've not got the poison around you,
listen.
We used to call him Dignity Dave, Moisire, everything.
Listen, I think that I said to you and I've tweeted to you already. Everton 2.0 it does look is giving me that vibe. Hopefully for you, like obviously I've got nothing against West Ham, as you said about Arsenal. I've got no problems about West Ham. They're a proper team, proper family team. So by all means, as long as they don't flip it, do us or beat us, I don't really give a shit.
Now we owe you one after the last game. We owe you one big time, man.
Oh God, you do, man, you do. But obviously Pogba had to make up for that handball, and
he'll be gone by then, so that's all right.
Yeah, it's true. Actually, it's true. But listen, let's get everyone else's thoughts on West Ham. You know, at the moment, I've got to say they're playing brilliant football as well. They're not actually like, you know, some teams you see them getting the results. However, they're actually playing really good, aren't they, kids? Let's be real. There seems like there's a structure, there's a plan, and they've got quality. You know, in the final they've actually got.
I didn't watch the first half, but I watched the second half, and from what I could see, 2-1 is actually a fortunate result for Leeds. I'll be honest, they absolutely battered them. The one thing I would say on Berama, and I'll take it's not a negative, it's a positive. He is a really, really greedy player. There was quite a few opportunities when he was just outside the 10-yard box where he could have passed it to a Fornals, but like you've just said, Lawless, the way Fornals was playing, he probably would have scarred it over or whatever. But there was a couple of opportunities where instead of him taking the shot, he could have passed it forwards for one of the West Ham attackers to be one-on-one with the goalkeeper. But again, I suppose that's a positive in a way because he's got that knack in him. He's got what the elite players have, which is to kind of, you know, they will do whatever they can to get the ball at the back of the net. And I agree with him in a sense where he's not only got more than what Payet has in terms of potential. You've got to think that Payet, when he came to West Ham, he was 28, 29. He was supposed to be at the peak of his powers. Berama's 23, 24. There's still so much more to give from him as a player. The setup that he's is so weird because seeing Moyes with this sort of team and setup and how he's built, it's like, how has he done it? How is
it's true, I mean, I'm not gonna lie.
You see Bowen, you see, you know, Fornals in that number 10. You see Berama, you see Halle, Antonio when fit, and you see the midfield. You're thinking, how the hell? The weirdest thing is Wilshere right now. Jack Wilshere would actually.
Oh yeah, I couldn't forget what this.
Jack Wilshere criticizing West Ham, saying they play defensive football, boring to watch. He's probably looking at this now, this West Ham, thinking, what the hell has happened to this team? Right? Because this right now is perfect for someone like a Wilshere to be in passing the ball around to.
He would have been.
It's weird, but no, credit when credit's due. Moyes has done a fantastic job. if the board don't give him maybe I'd say a 2-3 year deal at least, it would be an absolute embarrassment for a guy who's the first tenure he had at West Ham, he saved them from relegation. The second one saved them from relegation last season, and this season, I can see them getting European football. Definitely, I definitely think that that's within their grasp. The way that they're playing.
Bro, if he gets European football, that is an unreal achievement, given the amount of hard teams that are in the league at the moment. Sanj, what are your thoughts? Obviously, you said the Mosiah. Does Moyes
just to wind you up? That's all. Just to wind you up.
It did not work at all, to be honest. Listen, does he deserve more credit? Not many people are mentioning him. Everyone's talking about Hassan, but look, he's got them playing. Antonio's not fit as well. A lot of people say before, West Ham had to rely on Antonio or Declan Rice, for example. But it's not just them two players. It's a complete team performance, isn't it? Really.
Just a quick, literally 10 seconds. You could see from that game between Calvin Phillips for Leeds and Rice that it's true. Yeah. Rice is now on a
Rice pissed on him. Rice pissed on him fully.
Yeah.
Fair play to him. Look at that smile from Lawless. He got Daniel's really decided. But yes, listen.
We played West Ham about a month ago at Anfield, and they basically played us off the park for the first half, and we managed to get a very legitimate penalty that got us back into the game. And Lawrence, you don't know me, but I am mostly tongue in cheek. It's the only way I can survive in my house, where I've got 2 teenagers and a wife who's the most sarcastic person I've ever met. But I think in the end, we wore you down in that game. I think that was the one where Jota scored the winning goal. But that was the only reason we wore you out was because I think we've basically got better players than you. That's the way it went. But I think they're a match for anyone. I thought they were very unlucky against your lot, Usmaan, the other week. They were basically on top.
I don't know what you're talking about.
They were on top for the best part of 50 minutes. But I think, again, that's the whole thing about football. And lots of the cliches about football always seem to be quite right, is that because West Ham didn't put you away when they had the chance, as soon as they got an equaliser, it just looked like the game was over. But I think West Ham are a complete football team. There aren't obvious weaknesses. I would say the only thing that I sort of noticed when you did lose that game to Man United was maybe, is there a fitness issue? Because that last 15 minutes you were just blowing really, really hard against a team who hadn't put much on you for most of that game.
I think it's when they brought on Bruno and Rashford. I think that changed.
Listen, it is what it is, isn't it? It is what it is. You got those big ballers.
What do you guys think about the? I forgot to ask. I didn't mention this, but what do you guys think about the penalty retake? I don't know if you guys saw it, where he's not off his line.
That is an absolute joke.
Which game?
He was literally a millimeter off his line. Like, if you're gonna get a guy to retake a pen after that, you might as well just give up.
Listen, that rule, right, is completely ruined the game. De Gea, right, sorry to bring it back to us. De Gea not saved the penalty in 70 attempts. Finally saves one, and I swear to God, he was half an inch off the line. First pen saved in 70. I'm not even joking, right? And they pulled it back, and I thought, bro, just come on.
You might as well tie the goalkeeper's hands behind their back, because you got a player that's allowed to sprint towards the ball, hop, skip, and jump. What's that?
PHX was like, it's absolutely ridiculous. Like, how are we meant to save it? Like, but people in the comments were saying it's meant to be an unfair advantage. So I get that point. But I just think it's not really.
If you're coming right at them, I understand. But after they've already kicked the ball, and like you're coming a little bit just to give yourself a little bit of momentum, and then on the retake, there was a massive encroachment they didn't even look at from one of their players. Their player before he kicked the ball was miles in there, like. Yeah, so it's inconsistent, but
that's the problem. Yeah, but listen, for me personally, just to summarize on West Ham, and then we'll do Spurs, Liverpool, and then we'll wrap it. I personally think you're a top quality striker, and I've said this to you already. This isn't a dig at Haller, I'm a fan of his, but like a Danny Ings, not to mention his, but like in terms of someone that you know is going to score, because you're creating chances. You just need a gunsman. You just need someone.
I think they've got that. I think they've got that.
Antonio, to be fair, I think Antonio definitely can do that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not denying that. But Antonio can play in different areas and still have a massive impact on the team as well. So I don't think you need to limit him just to strike.
Yeah. And the thing is, Antonio has got the injury problems, and you need someone like you said, because we've just got Allaire, who's our only fit striker.
Hypothetically speaking, right? If they've got Danny Ings in their team right now, I know Danny Ings has got injuries as well. It's not a great example, but if he's fit for the season, I don't see why they can't easily be in Europe. Like generally, because everything else around it, I think the structure is there. The defense,
you just got to put these chances away. Yeah.
Because against Man United, like banter aside, against Arsenal as well. We said it against Arsenal. You should have won that game. You lost that game as well. That's 6 points. So let's add 6 points. You're first. You're first. With those 6 points, you're actually first. So this is the difference. I'm not saying you'd win the league, but I'm saying in terms of Europe, like that's what's going to cost you. I think in the long run, I think you need. Someone's putting a Lukaku would be a shout. Okay, right. Anyways, let's move on to the
scored enough against us.
Liverpool against Tottenham Hotspur. I do see the time, so of course we won't dwell on it too much. This is a big game, isn't it? Really, in terms of how the league's going to pan out. If Liverpool win this game, for me personally, it's basically Liverpool winning the league. I know it's really early to say that, but I think psychologically, everybody else is just going to assume that automatically. However, if Spurs win it, for me, we'll get you in first, Lawrence, before these two have their say. If Spurs, however, win it, then it does make it interesting because, of course, Spurs will drop points at some point in the season. So, they'll do what Spurs do best, which is bottle it. Lawrence, thoughts? What do you reckon?
Do you know what I think we could see? And I'm sorry to say this, Sajid, but I think we could see a Mourinho masterclass on this one. It seems like, look, the way Liverpool struggled against Fulham, and you had the comments Klopp coming out and going, oh, they changed the way they play and they was playing long balls. I mean, that's just typical Klopp, but there's a way that, we see it against Tottenham against Arsenal. And it's obviously not a big shout to say that they outplayed Arsenal, but they have that ability where they have the players where they can, if they want, they can play football when they want, but they can also frustrate those teams. And Mourinho is so experienced at this level when he's trying to go for something, when he's trying to go for a league, or he's trying to get a team like Man United, he's trying to get in Europe, where these games come along and he knows what it takes to get it over the line. Like Mourinho would look at this and probably think, do you know what? A point would be a big deal.
They'll still be top.
They'd still be top. A point would be huge in
it depends on Leicester. Obviously, Southampton are going to beat Arsenal, so they're getting 3 points. So the potential would be top.
They've still got a deadly attack, Liverpool. If they need to, they can still penetrate that defense, and if they do shut, they still have the tools to do it. But I think with a lot of the emphasis will probably be on Liverpool, and I think again Mourinho would be really happy with a point because it's a big step in their approach for the title. They'll say, do you know what, a point against Liverpool? Yeah, now we can go and blow other teams away and pick up points. So yeah, I think it's a good look for Tottenham, but you can never count Liverpool out, really.
Yeah, well, it's not Anfield, so it's 100% part of the Boss FC this one. But
yeah, I think it's a draw.
Yeah, no, I think I could be a draw. But Kish, what do you reckon, man? You've heard about myself and Lawless are thinking Jones is going to part the Boss counter, which is probably the best.
I think again, I agree with Lawless. I think this game is ready made for Mourinho because this game and the way we're going to play is everything that Klopp hates. Because he works on counter-attack. He loves, with the attackers that he's got with Mane and Salah, he loves having that opportunity that from a blink of eye, 6 to 8 passes in midfield to let those attackers go. Mourinho's not going to give him that chance to do that. Another tactic of Klopp's is the press, that every time an opposition has the ball, that there's 2-3 players surrounding that player. But again, we're not actively going to be going for the ball. That's the thing. We're not actively going to have possession football. We saw it against Palace. We're strangers when we have the ball. We don't actually know what to do at the moment because the players are so instilled and they're so with Mourinho's plan and ideas because they can see that it's getting them results. They can clearly see it. So I think personally that Mourinho is going to put them in a very, very tough situation where it's going to be what Fuad said a couple of weeks ago, where it is literally you break us down. Let's see if you can break us down. And if you leave us gaps in your defense, then we will counter you because we've got players like Kane, Son to hurt you. I think at the moment, the only sort of player that we're lacking is someone with a bit of quality instead of Bergwijn. Because I was just thinking that now.
If you had a right winger
Yeah, I've noticed a couple of games that his work rate is fantastic. His work rate is fantastic off the ball. That's why he's playing for Spurs.
Lingard is as well, to be fair.
Yeah. And people always ask about Bale, saying why is he not? That's the reason why Bale's not playing, because Bale, I can't see him wanting to do dirty work. Because if he did, then Bale would be fantastic at the moment. But again, forget about that. My point is the fact that this game is ready-made for Liverpool, for Tottenham, and I think Klopp is going to get extremely frustrated by.
He's going to get pissed.
Yeah.
Sand, what do you reckon? All three of us seem to agree, and I'm assuming you're expecting that as well. Do you think Liverpool got enough?
No, I don't. I understand. I think all of you're all saying pretty much what I would probably say if I was an opposing fan. What I would say is that, and it can't be underestimated, we have got a ridiculous amount of injuries in every area of that team. Apart from the front three, but we've even now got an injured striker as well. We're having to play in a different way than we would actually like. So if we can win this game, then I completely agree with, I think you said that it's title over, because that will send a real message to say, yeah, you come up with all your part the bus malarkey, blah, 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 but we can still beat you. I don't think we get as frustrated with the part the bus as you're perhaps making out, because I think that is now basically how every team plays against us in the end.
Do you think you got enough to break them down, Sanj? Do you think you got enough? Do you think you got enough to break them down?
The one thing I would say is any member of the front three could beat Spurs on their own. And all three of them need to have a day, because they've all been a bit of this, a bit of that, all the way through the season. Mane's quietly been having a really tough time in front of goal. Yeah, I know you've always going about how Firmino doesn't do enough in terms of assists and goals, but he's not done as much in terms of assists and goals. I know Salah's got, I think, 13 for the season, but I think half of those are penalties. I think all three of... Sorry?
6 pairs and 6 dives.
Okay. I mean, you're the expert on that. Tell me about Bruno's philosophy. How's he doing?
Who have you got fit in defence at the moment? Who's actually fit in your defence?
Sorry?
Who's fit? Who's actually fit in your defence?
Alisson, Andy Robertson, Andy Robertson, and Trent are fit now. Matip's a bit dodgy, and obviously Gomez and Van Dijk are out for the season. So
when I look at Kane and Son there, I would tell Son to focus on Trent, because Trent is good attacking wise.
What I would say is, if you play the pace game against our back four, usually Fabinho plays in the back four, and actually he's pretty good against fast strikers.
But we don't.
He had Timo Werner in his pocket earlier this season. So
Kane's not a quick player. Kane's an intelligent streetwise footballer. You know what I mean? So it actually suits Kane, the fact that he can shrug off and hold two of your defenders, and then it's got Son on the other side to just run off.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's all there. I think you'll never have a better chance of beat us.
Yeah, I agree.
But I'll tell you what, I thought that for the Champions League 2 years ago, that you had a great chance of beating us, because we had players coming back from it. And up there, you're not winners yet, and that is a big thing. That's one of those things you can't measure, and we are winners.
Yeah. Which diver wins the penalty? Kane or Salah?
We might have the future sports personality of the year as well. So you never know.
Listen, Salah, to be fair to him, like, you know, he got pushed against Fulham. I'm not gonna lie, he didn't go down, which really baffled me. But you know, that probably was a foul. To be fair, the one time he doesn't go down, he doesn't get the free kicks. I can't.
Was that a penalty? Was that a penalty for Fulham that first half? That the one
already mentioned it.
I think that's a pen, mate.
I can see why it's not.
He's got his leg. No, but he's took his leg at this. Come on, man, that's a foul. 100%.
What do you reckon, Sam? What do you reckon?
Do you know what? Right, I'll tell this one side, right? 2 years ago, that's not a penalty. It's not even a foul. But now it's a foul.
Yeah.
Does it make sense?
Well, here's
the thing, right? VAR was brought in for clear and obvious, right? And if the referee saw it and decided if for him it wasn't a penalty, what's the point of making him look at the screen to say, yeah, I'm still certain it's not a penalty. Let's move on. 3 minutes of the game was wasted about that. I love VAR, but I really want VAR to work right. But I'm fed up with them wasting so much of our time on these absolutely BS decisions that don't. Last week, right, when we played that midget land in Denmark, right, 8 minutes of injury time, right, at the end of that game, for VAR decisions, that's not even changed.
Oh my god! It's funny because that's what we all.
I always call them that because that makes my wife laugh. That's why I call them that.
Yeah, I honestly can't. It's actually crack on. But listen, we're gonna finish on score.
But 1-1, by the way. I'm going to call it 1-1 tomorrow. Wednesday.
You're going 1-1. Kish, where are you going?
0-0.
Lawless, where are you going?
I can see a 1-1 as well. I think both players have just really good attackers. So yeah, I can see a 1-1.
Right, okay. I'm gonna go for Heung-min Son winner 2-1. Runs it off Trent. Kane a flick on from a long ball straight to Son. Light work, finesse, bot corner, GG, get out of here. Cold Spurs! I'm so biased.
Usmaan, what else have you got?
Nothing. We've got nothing else to live for. This is all I've got, lads. I have to hope that somebody else wins the league.
Because the tweet of the month was from UEFA when they said Europa League badge, welcome Man United.
Oh, listen, it is what it is, isn't it? We're dead clubbing. I've got to enjoy my small wins if we get them. Listen, we're gonna wrap it with the score predictions for everyone else's teams that are relevant. So obviously, won't mention Arsenal. We'll start with West Ham first and foremost. I'm expecting an easy win here against. Nah, I'm joking. Crystal Palace are looking good. Lawless, what do you reckon?
We have a really good record with them against them at our ground. So yeah, I'm feeling confident. They've got dangerous players. I'm gonna say 3-1 West Ham. I think we're gonna be a bit more clinical this week.
I'm contemplating buying someone from West Ham in fantasy football. I'm thinking Souček, but
Souček is on fire, man.
Yeah,
he's on fire.
He did this last season as well. I don't know if people remember towards the end when he scored one. He just scored it that in a row. But I follow West Ham. I know these things. Anyway, Kish, what's the score prediction? West Ham v Palace.
Yeah, watching the Palace game, Eze and Zaha, they're linked.
Eze needs to get picked up, by the way.
It is fantastic. Yeah. So I can see this being an entertaining game of football, to be honest. The one thing I would say about West Ham is they can't defend. They concede almost every game. And I think the same for Palace as well. So I can see this being an entertaining 2-2 draw.
Ooh, interesting. Sand, what do you reckon?
2-1 to West Ham.
I'm going to say 3-2 to West Ham. And on the back of that, I probably should buy West Ham player. I'm not decided which one yet. I'm going to say 3-2 to West Ham. Souček with another header. There's the tip of the week, lads. Right, okay. Leicester against Everton. Leicester at home. I'm going to say 3-1 to Leicester. Kish, what are you going for?
2-1 Leicester.
Lawless?
I'm going to say 2-2.
Okay, Sanj?
1-1.
Right, Wolves against Chelsea again. Wolves at home. This is a really hard game to call. I've got to be honest. Wolves are a weird team to play against. I'm going to say 2-1 Chelsea. They're just going to nick it. Lawless, what do you think?
Well, this would be the first game they win against the top 10 side,
course,
wasn't it? Yeah, so maybe they'll do it, and then Daniel can come and throw it back in your face.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say
2 games until the next show, so they've got you the game after. So he's going to be talking about beating you, not me.
Let's hope they get their win this week. That's why I hope they get their win this week. I'm going to say a little 1-0 Chelsea. They get their win this week, and then we'll go and beat them the following week.
Well, hopefully you're going to. Oh, it's next Monday, isn't it? Actually, you're playing. Sanj, what do you reckon?
3-0 Chelsea.
Right.
They beat them 5-2 in this fixture last season, didn't they?
Yeah, that's true, actually. Kish, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I'm hoping to see Reece James against Traore. I think that'll be an interesting game. 1-1.
Okay, 1-1, fair enough. Let's go on to Arsenal Southampton. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. Southampton are winning this 3-1. Arteta, sorry, mate, it's the end of the road. Sadly for me, but, it is what it is. Kids, what do you reckon?
I'm surprised you gave Arsenal a goal. 2-0.
3-0, actually. Sorry. There's a scratch that. 3-0. Sad, what do you reckon?
Is this at the Emirates?
It is.
1-0 Arsenal.
1-0 to the Arsenal.
Wow. That's bold.
That is the fact that he said that.
I think he's got something about him. I do think Arteta's got a little bit about him.
I do hope he wins because it'll keep him in job for longer, innit? Lawless, what do you reckon?
Is that the Emirates? I thought it was at Southampton. But
no, it's at Emirates.
Okay, so it's at the Emirates. Yeah, I'm going to go 2-0 Southampton.
Wow, that is absolutely damning of the situation, isn't it? Last but not least, Manchester United take on Sheffield United. Literally right next to Kish's house. At Bramley, I shouldn't really say that, should I? Just realised I'm not giving you full address. Right, okay, anyways, Bramall Lane, Kish, what do you reckon?
3-1 United. Man U, sorry.
Oh, I thought he was going to.
Oh, yeah.
If
3-1 Man U.
honestly, if we lose this game, oh my God. Lawless,
You should be happy.
We can't do
Sheffield
this.
United, local team.
Nah, I don't matter. No, they're relegated. Lawless, what do you reckon?
If you don't win this game, let alone like draw or anything, Ollie has to get the sack. And I'm not even so super hard on Ollie, but if you don't win this game, he needs to be sacked. There needs to be lots of sackings because they are awful.
Yeah.
What was it? 1 point all season. This has to be
12.
a complete. You guys have to run away with this. This
1
should be
point
a
in 12 games. That is
Wow.
poor. Yeah.
3-0. Do you know what? I can actually see them maybe getting a shock goal early and everyone being like, "Oh no, like what's going on?" And then you coming back.
I can 100% see that as well.
Yeah, I can say 3-1 Man United. Yeah.
We can't defend set pieces, and they've got a couple of tall players, but it is what it is. Sanj, what do you reckon?
I think 2-1 to Man United with a 98th minute via Bruno Fernandes.
Wow. That's what it's going to say.
Once it said 6-0, so he's not.
Before, has it?
Oh, yeah, it's never happened. So it's not like Salah doesn't dive every week, but it is what it is. Right, listen, I'm gonna just say 4-0. I'm saying that in terms of that's what I'm expecting. In terms of what's probably gonna happen, it'll be like a 1-0 shit performance by Man United. It will just scrape it. So
make sure you tune into Usman's watch along because it could be really entertaining.
I don't think I'm doing a watch along for this unless I'm going to be late today. So I've got
this is the trick there.
The best thing is I'm actually working right next to Bramall Lane where I coach, so like it's I don't know. Anyways, I'm waffling. Anyways, that is the end of the show. We're going to do the Champions League draw, but I suppose we'll save that for next time because there's only one of us in here who's in the Champions League, so it's kind of irrelevant. They should have been.
I think that's the hardest draw we could have got.
Oh, shut up, man.
They beat you, didn't they?
We're shit. We beat them 5-0 on the side. Listen, we'll talk off camera about this one. Anyway, listen, make sure you drop a like, subscribe to the channel. As always, make sure you show love to our guests. We'll start with you, Kish, first and foremost. Where can they find you?
Yeah, Kish and New just below.
Make sure you don't follow him. Lawless, where can they find you?
Yeah, at the Lawless on Twitter and then West Ham Fan TV everywhere else.
Yes, make sure you check them out. The watch-alongs are absolute gold at the moment. I'm waiting for the Chelsea one. If you beat Chelsea, I'm clipping it and tagging Daniel. I can't wait. Please. And Sanj, where can they find you on your socials?
I'm in bed most of the time, but at Sanj Writer.
Okay, say no more. As always, thank you very much for tuning in. You can follow me on Usmaan Talks United and stay tuned for more content. We will be back in the coming days. Apart from that, it's been your host, Usmaan. Ahmed, when you watch this, or Moose, when you watch this, just know I apologize for that text, man. It wasn't